Hi, I'm Kimberly Washburn, Curator of Education at the Florence County Museum. Welcome to June's Family Day at Home. This month, we're celebrating the arrival of summer with 3 summer fun activities. This activity will be to create a butterfly feeder. We'd like to help you invite pollinators into your garden by creating a little feeding station to attract butterflies. This can also be a really wonderful place to observe insect life around your garden. So let's get started. You're going to need to gather a few things from your Family Day at Home kit. You're going to need your plastic cup with holes in it. We have 1 hole at the bottom, 3 holes around the top. You have more than 1 plastic cup in your Family Day at Home kit, so make sure you're grabbing the one with the holes in it. You're also going to need your foam shapes. You have a variety of foam shapes in your Family Day at Home kit. These have a sticky back where you peel the paper to reveal a sticker, so you're going to need to grab those. You have a sponge strip, a little small piece of sponge. You have a small cup of sugar and 3 pieces of yarn. So gather all those materials. You also may need to grab a pair of scissors, and you're going to need an adult to help you with the first part of this activity. You're going to need to heat some water on the stove, so grab a nearby adult and make sure that they assist you with this part. So I have half a cup of water here, and I've gone ahead and preheated half a cup of water on my little hot plate. I'm going to just heat that back up. We want to bring our water to a boil. What we're making here is the nectar or the syrup that our butterflies will be attracted to. So we're going to heat up this water to almost a boil till we start to see bubbles. Mine was boiling just a moment ago, so it should just take a couple of seconds for it to get that far. And while this heats, we're going to go ahead and add our sugar. This is 1 teaspoon of sugar to about half a cup of water. So I'll go ahead and sprinkle my sugar into the water and give it a stir. Now make sure that you're doing this with adult supervision. You should never use the stove without a grown-up nearby. So I am stirring up that sugar, letting all of the sugar dissolve in the water. But we want to go ahead and bring it to a boil. Even if it looks like all the sugar has dissolved, we want to make sure that the sugar and the water create a really well incorporated solution so that the sugar does not recrystallize out of the water once we put it in our cup. So we're going to let this heat for just another minute. Stay close by it. Make sure that you are not walking away and leaving that on the stove because it can burn. So while we wait, we're going to go ahead and start preparing our cup. So I'm keeping an eye on this water. It's getting close to boiling. I'll give it a stir every few moments here. But I'm going to go ahead and prepare my cup. So we want to decorate our cup on the outside to attract butterflies. So we want to put some bright colors on the outside of our cup. You can use your foam shapes that are included. These are pre-cut into shapes, but you can always use a pair of scissors if you want to cut out a particular design or pattern. My water is boiling now, so that's good. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the stove. Now that my water has come to a boil, that sugar should be nice and dissolved. And I'm just going to let that cool right there while I work. Now, so back to our cup. We're going to peel the sticky back foam. You can decide if you want a particular shape or pattern, or you could always just create sort of a random design. I might cut these into a little bit smaller shapes. And I'm just going to make a abstract sort of mosaic. A mosaic is an artwork where you take lots of little tiny tiles or pieces of paper and you piece them together to create a design or pattern. So I am going to use these shapes on the outside of my cup. Make sure that you peel that sticky back foam and press down hard. You don't want these to get on the inside of your cup because that is where our butterfly nectar is going to go. So we don't want that on the inside of our cup, only on the outside. And this will help draw the attention of our butterflies so that they visit our garden and our butterfly feeder. I'm going to keep adding colorful shapes to my cup until it's covered or until I'm happy with the pattern that I have. Mine is sort of just a random design, but I like that it's got lots of different colors all over. So just a few more shapes to add. You don't have to use all your shapes. You can use as many as you want of the ones that you have, or you can use every single one and try to cover as much of the surface of your cup as you can. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that. I have a few shapes left over, but I don't want to add any more shapes. I'm pretty happy with the design I've created on my cup. So now I'm going to take my little sponge and I'm going to thread it through this bottom hole in my cup. That's easiest to do by pushing it through from the outside of the cup and just really squeezing it into that hole. Now, if you're having trouble getting your sponge into the hole, then you can also use a little toothpick or something that will help you sort of push it through. And you want to leave a little bit of your sponge hanging out of the cup and some of your sponge sticking up into the cup. That's how the butterfly will drink. We'll put our butterfly nectar into the cup and it will soak onto the sponge and the butterflies can walk on the outside of the cup into the sponge where they can drink their butterfly food. Now before we fill our cup, and because my nectar is still pretty hot, I can still see steam coming up from my nectar, I'm going to go ahead and add the hangers, the hanging for my butterfly food. So I'm going to just string one of my pieces of yarn through the hole and tie a couple of knots. I do a few extras just to make sure it's very secure and is not going to slip. So there's one. I've got 3 pieces of string and 3 holes, so we want to do that to all 3 around our cup. So 1 hole to 1 string. And I like to give it maybe 3 knots. Just a little extra security to keep it from falling. Now you can pick a spot in your yard to hang your butterfly feeder that is nearby your flowers, but maybe a little distance away. The idea is to attract the butterflies to say, my flowers are over here, this is my garden. So you don't want it to be right on top of your flowers because your flowers may already provide some attraction, but somewhere nearby. If you have a tree nearby or a little plant, hanging plant, anywhere that you can hang your butterfly feeder. All right, so I have these 3 strings and I like to turn it upside down and kind of let the strings hang and then pull all 3 of them together so that they're all kind of pulling evenly. You can see that. So that when I turn it over, it's not really crooked. And if it is hanging a little bit wonky, then adjust those strings, pull one tight or the other tight. So I'm gonna go ahead and tie a knot so that all 3 strings are held evenly and together. So now our butterfly feeder, we can take it and just tie this on a tree branch from these top strings that are hanging. And we can add our butterfly nectar. Remember, when you're dealing with hot liquids or anything from the stove, make sure you have a grown-up nearby to assist you. Just gonna pour my nectar right over where the sponge is, just like that. Carefully grab hold of your strings and it's ready to hang. The nectar will run down. I can already feel, if I squeeze the sponge a little bit, how that nectar is soaking down into the sponge, and will provide a yummy snack for any butterflies who happen to come near our garden. If you want to refill your butterfly feeder every few days, it's just 1 teaspoon of sugar to add a half a cup of water. Just fill it right back in there. Enjoy watching the pollinating insects in your garden this summer.